Brent is going to talk about Bridesmaids.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
Brent is very much in touch with his feminine side.
I am, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Bridesmaids is the new film from Paul Feig and Kristen Wiig. Feig, excuse me.
Wait a second, Mike's about to go into a whole story now about how Mike knows Paul Feig.
We came up together. I know Feig. We're good friends with Gruber. You know Gruber. You know Feig. You know Feig. Paul Feig is friends of ours. We've
friend
known
of the show
for a long time, years. And I actually remember the first time back in 1997 when me, him, and Gruber, who's been on the show, were sitting down at a diner late at night in Burbank, and Feig was all excited because he was going to start his first movie ever, major movie, full length, and he was showing us the production scouting that he took pictures of. There's my little Paul Feig story.
There you go. There you go.
It was called Life Not Included, I believe it was called, or something like that.
And batteries not included.
Corey's gonna look it up.
Spielberg produced film.
It was his first thing, and actually, what's his name was in it? The magician guy.
David Copperfield.
No.
Chris Angel.
No.
No.
The one who has the sidekick who doesn't speak, and I can't think anymore.
Teller.
Thank you. Teller was in it. Penn was in it actually. Penn Gillette. And there you go. That's the Paul Feig story.
Well, look, we have a guest host.
Well, no, we've been tweeting back and forth.
Mark, you have a connection though to Kristen Wiig.
I'll tell you, my story is better than Mike's story, so my story is worth waiting for, whereas Mike's story is bollocks.
Whoa.
So you tell
What are we, international?
bollocks.
Uncalled for.
Bollocks.
What? I'm just saying we all came up together and look at Feig and look at us.
Yeah, I know, that's true. All right, so I will get to my
kidney pie demographic.
I will get to my Kristen Wiig story. It was very impressive. You'll all be impressed with me in a second, but Brent wants to talk about Bridesmaids. Go.
Yes.
It is a film, and it is about bridesmaids.
Hence the name.
Hence the name.
Look,
no.
He is a professional. Now it's clear.
No, I got to tell you, it is starring Kristen Wiig. She co-wrote the film with her writing partner on Saturday Night Live, or one of her writing partners, Annie Mumolo, I believe, which sounds like a fake name. But and it's about essentially a down-on-her-luck singleton whose best friend, played by Maya Rudolph, is getting married. So, as with many nuptials, a sort of oddball collection of friends and family are brought together to be her bridesmaids. So that probably sounds a little bit familiar to, say, The Hangover. But it's produced by Judd Apatow, so it has some of his comedic flavorings, and it is a very funny and interesting film.
But now we have
a clip now, and I believe this clip is going to be Kristen Wiig on a plane, behaving in a manner that would probably get you arrested upon landing.
It was on the real one. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, it's great. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so much more relaxed. Thank you, Helen. I just feel like I'm excited and I feel relaxed and I'm ready to party with the best of them. And I'm gonna go down to the river.
Wow, it looks like somebody's really relaxing now. Yeah, wow.
What are you guys talking about up here?
We're going to a restaurant tonight. I know the owner, so I was just having.
Oh, Helen is the owner.
So I have to say, I really found this movie very, very delightful. It's gotten a tremendous amount of buzz, and I think a lot of the buzz has had to do with the fact that it's a people were either sort of spinning it as the female version of The Hangover or the female version of Knocked Up or something like that. To me, one of the films that sort of echoed back to was 40-Year-Old Virgin, quite honestly, because it's sincere about the, I wouldn't say depression, but it's sincere about the hole that Kristen Wiig's character finds herself in. And it gives away nothing to say that she's gone through these struggles. She'd started a business, a bakery that has failed. And so she's sort of on her ass a little bit. And the film begins in a very, scatological isn't quite the right word, but it begins at a sort of raunchy context. And so you think it's going to be nothing more than kind of another, the female version of The Hangover. There's going to be bodily fluids going everywhere. John Hamm guests and gets to instruct Kristen Wiig to cup his balls. So that's an interesting way to start the movie. But I found it really sincere and interesting. And this sounds like a backhanded compliment. I don't mean that to be the case when I say that it is a movie that just happens to be about, it doesn't happen, rather it's not about women, excuse me, it just happens to feature female characters. Their sex is irrelevant. The title Bridesmaids may be a turnoff for, I don't know, certain guys, a certain subset of guys out there, but you shouldn't let that dissuade you from seeing this film because it's not like Bride Wars or 27 Dresses or any of those other terrible romantic comedy, you know, just craptastic. Can I say craptastic?
Hygel-rific.
Piffle?
You could say shitty.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second.
I said it.
How come the guest host gets to swear and I never get to swear?
You can
Special
swear.
privilege?
I
don't
never
know.
swear.
What would you like to swear about?
I was told not to swear.
It's like none of those. It's like none of those films, quite frankly. It's
Well, you know what's clever about what's clever about the way it's put together is that it's a film that it's an Apatow film that they can market to women who would normally not necessarily run to an Apatow film. Maybe they'd be dragged by their boyfriends.
Right.
Here is an Apatow film that the women feel safe to go to. And yet the men, because it's an Apatow thing and there'll be some raunchy humor, they'll feel safe going.
Yeah.
And as a result, it really overperformed. Nobody expected it to open this well, and it opened
What did it-
very
it was
well.
20
it opened,
mid-20s?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it opened very, very well, way overperformed. And because they realize, again, some of this stuff is just so calculated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the movie's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's calculated. They go, if we can create the Apatow thing and market and target the Apatow thing to women, we can get both to go.
And I think, you know, a colleague, Karina Longworth, who writes for the LA Weekly, that was kind of at the center of her criticism of the film. She felt like those two parts didn't gel at all, and I guess it was very cynically constructed. I feel the opposite. You know, I mean, that stuff, to me, it works as a human relationship drama. I mean, Kristen Wiig, for people who've seen her on Saturday Night Live, she's a pip. She's excellent at sort of playing the sad center of a scene. You know, she can locate the tears of a clown in a manner that doesn't suck all the oxygen, the comedic oxygen out of a scene. And that's what she does here. It really, really worked for me quite well. The interesting thing for me is that even though the film is all about these women, Chris O'Dowd is kind of a guy who really pops off the screen. He's like the male equivalent of the kind of ingenue or love interest that you see in some more guy-oriented comedy, and you're like, wow, who's that? And then, you know, you don't tell your girlfriend, but you go home and you Google image search her. He plays Kristen Wiig's love interest in the film, and he's amazing. Has an Irish accent. I don't know if he's Irish in real life. The film is set in Milwaukee.
So are you saying it was a poorly done Irish accent, or was it
No, it's a light
Irish
accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you feel like he's a second-generation Irishman or something. And he's
That's how they wrote it.
Right. He's a real delight. A lot of fun, that guy. So you, as with I think a lot of the Apatow films, you see it and you find that it's delightfully well cast in the supporting.
Well, that's the thing
roles
with
as well.
the Apatow films. I mean, I'm not an Apatow fan, right? I'm not a stoner comedy guy. Feig is not at all, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big difference. Feig was really, when I was, you know, talking to him when he created Freaks and Geeks. That's right. I'll name drop again.
Yeah.
He was looking for a writer, and I talked to him about being a writer, but they wanted female writers because he develops very female-centric characters always. Linda Cardellini was obviously the star of that show, and it was all based around her. So Feig has always had that. So that's why it's always interesting when they kind of gel together. And this show, this movie has huge buzz. I don't remember a movie recently that has this much buzz, you know, and we don't really talk about box office, but I think you're definitely not going to see it drop off. I think you're going to see it climb, obviously.
Climb, or just a really minimal drop
and
off.
is it just for comedy reasons why it has so much buzz, you think?
Well, the thing is that as we were saying before, it hits demos that these films usually don't hit, whereas it targets women, but men feel safe to go.
Yeah,
right.
I'm seeing
there's
a lot
also
of that.
you know, when distributors slot these films in, they try to make sure that there's nothing around it that will compete with it.
Right.
And what else is out right now that is like this?
Yeah.
Nothing. So if you
Sure.
want to see a comedy, there's really only one place to go.
And yeah, and then I'll say this, obviously through Twitter and everything, I always follow that, and every female I know who saw it both on Twitter and Facebook was like, this empowers women. This shows we can be funny and can be good looking, and you don't have to be an ugly guy to be funny.
Right.
Well,
So
let's not
really-
overstep our bounds.
I don't know that it.
That's all we have.
I don't
We
know
only
that it
have
empowers.
funny. That's all us ugly guys have. Don't
Exactly.
take it from us, pretty ladies.
But I argued that point only because, yeah, to me it doesn't empower women. It only empowers, like, good writing. You know what I mean? And actual characters. That's what it empowers.
Yep.
And it shows that, again, if it's a backhanded compliment or some people misunderstand it, so be it. It's irrelevant that these are females or even bridesmaids or even females. It's just, it really defines the characters really well. Special shout out to Rose Byrne, who plays, she's a new friend of Maya Rudolph's character who's getting married. And so there's this dynamic between Rose Byrne's character and Kristen Wiig where there's a competition. They're worrying about, there's the new friend and the old friend, and you get a sense, a very smart, well-sketched sense of Kristen Wiig holding on to that friendship because she's already lost her business. She's lost her professional identity and sense of self. And this friendship is the oldest and strongest bond that she has. And now she senses that slipping away as well. And that informs like this mania in all her behavior. So it's really well done. And I think, again, I can't recommend it highly
So
enough.
you're giving it a?
I'm giving it a buy.
Oh,
I'm giving it a buy.
Bye for Can I tell my Kristen Wiig story, please?
Do it quickly, and then we have to go to the news.
Okay, here I am 1%. What am I here? I am 1% responsible for Kristen Wiig being famous because I cast her. I cast her on a show, huh?
1%?
Yes, I had an overall deal with Stone Stanley Entertainment, which is no longer around, and my first job for this overall deal was to cast and create. I handed it off and didn't actually do the show, but I had to cast and create the storyline for a reality show called Joe Schmo's, the Joe Schmo Show, which wound up on Spike.
Yeah.
And so there were 10 comedy characters who I had to cast. The casting director, who I had hired, was a huge fan of this one woman. She's like, this is like in 2004 or something like that, 2003. She's like, I'm a huge fan of this one woman. I bring her in every time I'm asked to bring in funny women. You've got to meet this girl, Kristen Wiig. She's super funny. So in the casting, it's
the casting director who deserves the credit then, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, no, she totally brought him in. But here's the thing, because I
1%.
was the executive producer. We brought in a bunch of people. Read Kristen Wiig. I thought two things. One is I thought she had a little crush on her. I did.
Yeah.
Come on, 2003, I had a crush on her, a little tiny crush on her. And also I said we have to hire this woman because she's fantastic. And so because I was the executive producer, Brent.
Yeah.
I could have said she's not funny.
I'm just
and
saying,
she would not have been on this show.
Yeah, fine. I'm
Brent.
just saying you should rejigger the story.
Guest
Mark.
host.
I'm just saying you should rejigger the story. So you had to fight the casting director tooth and nail. That's
the
what I'm
casting
saying.
director hated Kristen, said she's a
That's
hack.
better.
And I
That's
said,
better.
no, this girl's got something.
That's better.
I sense it here.
Yes.
And here.
And it ended with you. It ended with you punching a female casting director.
It really, yeah, and I punched Kristen too. Anyway, so she was fantastic, and we cast her on the show, and because of that, she got a lot of heat, and she wound up on SNL after that.
There you go.
So that's why I say I'm 1% responsible for Kristen Wiig being famous. Thank you.
Totally call her.
And scene. Oh, I thought she was cute. I had a crush.
Totally at her on Twitter.
I told the casting director, I said I thought she
I'm
was
saying call her
cute.
now.
Yeah.
No.
Be like, I was responsible.
Get that 1% back.
Why would she remember me?
Get that 1% back.
That's what I'm saying. Let's move on to the news.